Hey.
Hi, welcome to my presentation about airplanes and climate change. So, when I was first deciding what I would do for my project, I was sitting in my free period and I was like looking out the window and I saw cocktails in the sky and I was like, oh, I want to know more about those. Because I honestly didn't know what it was, and now I got this water vapor. But yeah, so I just decided to do more research into it. And so once I kind of thought about it, I formulated the question, considering the past and future and using data from the present, how much CO2 do airplanes emit into the atmosphere? So according to the Center for Biological Diversity, CO2 emissions from U.S. transportation make up 11%, or CO2 emissions make up 11% of the U.S. transportation sources, and also airplane emissions are make up 3% of the total CO2 emissions for the U.S. So you might be wondering, are airplane emissions worse than your car emissions? And the answer is yes, they are, because they're emitted and released higher in the atmosphere. They're not easily absorbed by plants and trees that are on the ground and on the sky, and that would usually absorb it, and so they all build up high in the atmosphere, and they collect heat or gases, and heat is collected and contribute to global warming. So once I've kind of done some research, I found out that I needed to know how far airlines flew their planes each year, how the top 10 airlines' distance changed each year, and how much CO2 is emitted per kilometer flown, and also how are these rates trending. So I found data from 2009 to 2013. So these are the years that we're going to focus on. And these are the top 10 airlines with their kilometers flown in the past 6 years, but with only 5 years up there. And so after I compiled this graph, or chart, I added the distance traveled combined of all the airlines together for each year. And I found these numbers. So by using the Light Passenger Survey, I found the average emission per passenger per kilometer. So emissions vary greatly because of size and type of plane, freight capacity, and distance. So this is the average. So for flights, the average CO2 emitted is 182.6 grams per kilometer per passenger. So by multiplying this by the number of kilometers traveled each year, the amount of CO2 can be found. So these were my results, and I plugged these numbers. So I plugged these numbers into Logger Pro, and with the given dates, and found that the rate is continuing in an upward trend, as you can see in those years. And so also to give some reference, a gram of CO2 is no one really knows what a gram, I didn't know what a gram of CO2 was. So 1 million grams is equivalent to 1 metric ton. So so 1 ton of CO2 would fit into a pool that is about 4.5 feet deep with dimensions of 25 meters by 15 meters. So that kind of gives you some reference. So that after I plugged the data into Logger Pro, this is the linear function that I found, but I couldn't include all the emissions from freight and cargo planes because there wasn't enough information on the years. So these numbers are very conservative, however, it's obviously a problem. So this is a linear function, and so using the linear fit, I could find that I could plug the numbers into the equation y equals mx plus b, and and then another important thing is that in the mid-50s and 60s is when commercial aviation really took off. So since then, the amount of the CO2 emissions have only increased and will continue to increase as this graph shows. So to find that, that's the equation, and then for the derivative, it crosses the x-axis at 3.16 times 10 to the 8th power, and so using this, the slope can be found at any point on the line, and and CO2 emission trends for the future years can be found and hopefully prevented. And that's the end. Thank you. Any questions? Jenny?
Why'd you choose this topic?
Well, I've always I don't know, I've always been really interested in the sky and I guess looking up at the stars at night and stuff like that. And so I've always been loved watching airplanes fly on their contrails and everything, but I never knew anything about it. So I just figured, well, this is the perfect opportunity to do something.
Do you know, if I just took I don't know, a flight cross country, how much CO2 I would personally be responsible for?
Yes. So
I don't know, just that. I just thought.
yeah. So I found the average amount of CO2, which is the 182.6 grams, by combining the amount of fuel per passenger for long distance flights, short distance flights, and then those are domestic, and then also long distance flights from New York to Europe. So I actually have these numbers on a scrap sheet of paper, which I don't have now, but I can tell you after class. But yeah, so I have those numbers. Anyone else?
Does it make you rethink flying?
Yeah. So I used to love flying, and I fly a lot, and I don't know, I was kind of calculating this summer how many flights I've been on in my life, and it's obviously I can't remember all of them, and my family flies a lot because we move so much. But we started driving in the past few years, and it's always kind of made me mad because I don't like driving, and now I'm kind of rethinking and complaining about it. Or I have.
How many CO2 emissions did you say per kilometer per passenger? What was that number again?
Oh, 182